hey, that's a good looking vampire.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
With the blood splatter and everything there. And
Yeah.
said, okay, that was hot, But yeah, so it just stuck out, and that's why I said, oh, okay. So when you sent us the pictures, and I started to go, oh, is that who this is? This
oh,
is
no. So you made the connection.
I was like, oh, okay. And that's why I had to use it as well.
I mean, I want people to remember the work. Like, if they remember my face, that's great too. But like, if they remember the work, I mean, that's an achievement,
Yeah. Because the work is what
the work is what makes money and what sells. Yeah.
But once they make the connection, oh boy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And now, Alin, for both of you guys, I don't really know you guys well, but you both have like interesting credits, right? So, but let's get a little bit started here, getting to know you guys. Alin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into comics?
Yeah, it's just Alin.
Alin, okay.
Just Alin with an I.
I'm going to call you Alien.
I got into, it's weird. I got into comics. I started like, before I even knew what books or comics were, when I was like 5, I started like doing stick figure sequential stories. Like, just like as a 5-year-old who wanted to tell these little stories, I started these little sequential stories with stick figures. And it was kind of like, that always stuck with me. And then years later, of course, I got into comics and everything was really fascinated by it. And I started reading. Mark Grunwald of Marvel Comics was doing this thing called Mark's Remarks, and it was in all the issues of Marvel. And I started reading that. He did this stretch of like how to break into comics in there. And I just kind of followed that. I followed that like a handbook. And one of the things was to go to like conventions and meet the pros. So I was going down to San Diego Comic-Con and talking to the guys from Marvel, and got to going down there a couple of different times. And one of their editors from Marvel UK had come over one year, Richard Starkings, who came over from the England Marvel. And he was there and pushing a book that they were doing that I had read. And we started talking, and he found out I was from LA, and he was interested to come up to LA. And I was like, well, come on up. So we did, and we hung out and had a good time. And he went back to England, and then shortly thereafter moved to New York. When he moved to New York, he found out that one of the editors on staff at Marvel, Bobby Chase, was going to be looking for a new assistant editor. Well, I was already working in publishing. So he said, why don't you apply for the job and come to New York? You can stay with me and, get a job at Marvel, because he knew I was interested. And so I did. I sent an application, and I drove my ass to New York. And I was in New York and did an interview and had a job within a few days.
Wow.
Working at Marvel. It still blows my mind. I was saying
That's
this.
One of the easiest break-in stories I've ever heard.
Here's the thing. Back in those days, I mean, San Diego was the biggest show in town back then, but it wasn't the zoo it is now. And you could get in and you could actually talk to the pros. And, they would actually take an interest in you too.
Alin, where'd you say you were from?
Originally Los Angeles.
Oh, so you drove from LA to New York to the Marvel office?
I moved. I packed up what I could, threw it in my car, and drove across to New York.
Wow!
I made the trip in like 2 or 3 days, straight across. Just drove straight across.
That's awesome.
Got there, and I had an interview waiting for me when I got there, and got the job. I was lucky. But I had the experience.
I want to get Tristan's story on how he got in, but before I do, Alin, how was the change from West Coast to East Coast? Because that is a difference in culture and everything. Did you go through like a cultural shock?
I'll tell you something. Everybody warned me before I left Los Angeles. They said, you're going to hate it. It gets so cold in the winter. And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind a little cold. I'm from LA. I grew up in the heat and the sun and everything. I'm like going, no, I'm kind of done with this. So I went to New York, and I got there in fall. And everything was like the leaves were changing, and it was beautiful. And then I had this nice cold winter, and I put on winter clothes. I got a nice coat and scarf and everything. And I was like, I had no problems with that. And then the summer came, and it was dank and humid and hot and stinky. And I'm like, warn me about the winters. Nobody said anything about this crap. the summer just tore me down. I was like, this is horrible. As far as the culture went, I just loved, and I still to this day love the people that I met in New York. The people in New York were so cool. They were so just like their brutal honesty was just so like kind of welcoming and friendly. It was kind of like you didn't get that like, this fake smiley crap. It was like if they liked you, you knew it. If they didn't like you, you knew it, and I liked them. I liked
I've heard that LA people are nice, but they're not kind. And then New York people are kind, but they're not nice.
That is true.
You might put it that way.
I mean, I don't live in either. I'm Midwest, so I don't live in either. But
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it kind of goes along with what you're saying.
It really depends on the people, but
Yeah, I think it goes with what you're saying though. It's like the New York people are just more honest.
Right.
yeah. I loved
Tristan, where are
it. They
you?
give you crap. If they didn't give you crap, they didn't like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tristan, where are you?
I'm in Indianapolis.
Okay, Indianapolis.
So I've grown up in Indiana my whole life, but I lived in Southern Indiana until about 15 years ago, and then I moved to Indianapolis, and I've been here ever since.
Right. Now, that statement that you made between like East Coast, West Coast, LA, New York, I actually find that very true.
Yeah.
I'm from Hawaii. Mog is from Korea, but I grew. But I've been in California since like '85 now.
Okay.
1985.
And you've been in LA since then, or just California?
LA, California,
Okay.
LA area. And I do find that true, that the people here, they're nice, but they don't really go like beyond that. Whereas in Hawaii, they talk about the aloha spirit, and that part is like really true. You become part of the family there. And I don't have those kind of connections here like I do have in Hawaii. Yeah. But I have through my years, decades associated with a lot of New Yorkers. And I do find that, at first up front, they seem very rude and put offish. But you know what? If you give them that same attitude back and just kind of be honest,
there's a sense of respect there.
Yeah. It's like you gotta earn it.
That's it.
You gotta earn it.
You go with them on it, and they're cool.
Then they're cool.
They're really good people.
Yeah,
really good people.
Well, and I feel like someone needs to speak for the Midwest right now. We're just sorry to be in your way all the time. Like, do you want a soda? Like, we're sorry.
We just move slower, I think.
Like Wisconsin or Illinois.
I'm actually.
Well, man, don't even bring up Wisconsin. We lived there for 2 years, man, and we got some stories there.
So I'm only about an hour and a half from Tristan.
You said you were in Wisconsin?
I'm sorry.
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. Okay. Are you going to be at Columbus Fanix or GalaxyCon?
If Henri Compen has his way, I will be.
Okay. Well, I'll be there. It's only a couple weeks away.
You know what Tristan said about like they're nice but they're not kind?
Yeah.
It really kind of reminds me of the dynamic between the Japanese and then the Korean. Because if you go to visit Japan, everyone is so polite and nice, but inside they're murdering you. In Korea, they're just straightforward, they hate that kind of stuff.
So they're more real in Korea.
Yeah, they just tell you straight up.
Do you think it's because Japan has more tourism, and there's just more people that go in and out of it?
No,
I think
it's a cultural thing.
That's just a cultural thing.
It's a thing where I think it's almost survival. You never reveal your true self.
Yeah.
Unless it's like LA, it's like sometimes I think they're just judging you.
Yeah, there's a lot of
judging you.
Yeah, there is. Right. There's this I forgot her name. She's a current Asian comedian, but she describes the difference between China and Japan like this with the wives. Chinese wife will, will be kind of mean to you when you come home. Okay, I got your dinner ready. Here it is. Da da da. Right. The Japanese wife. Oh, so happy you're home. Here's your dinner. Let me take your shoes. Let me get your slippers. Blah blah. Right. But if you get into a bad situation where your health goes down, the Chinese wife will continue to take care of you and bitch about it. The Japanese wife will take you out to the park by the lake and then throw you in.
That's harsh. That's brutal.
All right, so before we get a little...
I lived in the Midwest for a couple of years.
Which part?
In Missouri.
Okay.
I actually graduated. I moved there from LA when I was much younger, I moved there. My parents retired and moved to Missouri, and I moved from the big city of Los Angeles to this smaller town in Missouri, in the middle of high school, and that was some culture shock. But it was fun. I had a good time, and it was neat. It was an experience, and I enjoyed it. And it was still some of the coolest things. I kind of just like differences. I like seeing the differences in the people and stuff. I like all of that. It's like I don't know why that should be so hard for people. I kind of just enjoy everybody for who they are, and it's kind of fun. It's like, to me, it was fun. It was neat getting to know a different culture and how they did things and how they thought, how things were. Everywhere I've gone, I've enjoyed that stuff. I
agree with you. And
I love that.
From your perspective, that might be nice. But from our perspective, we got to be a little bit more careful. So we moved to Janesville for 2 years. Ooh. And this was during, the economic crisis that we were going through in the mid 2000s, like around 2008, right? And we moved to Janesville, Wisconsin, southern part of Wisconsin, right on the border of Illinois, right? Small town, nice town, beautiful town. So the first thing I do is, we go to Walmart because we got to get some stuff. We're just getting there, right? Everybody's like staring at us, right? I tried, I'm shining with my aloha spirit. I'm saying hi to everyone. Nobody smiled back. Nobody said hello. They all looked like they wanted to kick my butt out of here. But then what's funny is that we eventually moved to Rockford, Illinois, which is about just 1 hour away. People there were so friendly, were more acceptable. I didn't feel that kind of racism, in a way, if you want to call it that. There, they were much. I mean, there was still some racism that existed there, but that was easier to deal with than what we were going through in Janesville. Right. So now going up to Madison, same thing. They're because they got the colleges there, and they've got a lot of international students. So the people there are more welcoming, or they feel okay, having people that look foreign to them there. Right. So that was nice. Right. But there's different parts of the countries that I've been to where I've had to really watch my back because being not white. Texas, Florida, you get into the bad areas, you just got to be careful. But anyway.
I wasn't going to chime in here, but Mel, what kind of maniac talks to people in Walmart?
What's that?
What kind of maniac talks to people in a Walmart? Like, you're in Walmart, man. It's the Thunderdome. Get in, get out.
Get in, get your stuff, and get out.
If you're staring at someone, okay.
I don't go to Walmart.
If you're staring at someone, okay, you got your eyes on me. I could say, hey, what the are you looking at? Okay, but instead I chose to say, hi, to be friendly. See if that will get them to smile and say hi back. I think that was a better approach to do than say, coming back, something a little more stronger and aggressive. Because they weren't just like glancing, they're like dead eyes staring, and not for a second, But anyway, we are getting a little bit off track. Let's get back on track. Tristan, tell us how you got into comics.
So when I was in college, I worked at a Walmart for like 5 years or so. But I had a buddy that has started a clothing company, and he was doing designs for metal bands, some of them local, but then he had like gained a following, and he had started working with people all over the country. And he got to a point where he had a lot of work coming in. He was like, hey, if I was always artistically inclined. And he said, if you want to quit your job at Walmart, like I have enough work to where you could probably make the same amount that you're making at Walmart, but you could just, get us a head start with what you're doing. So I quit my job, and I had just moved into an apartment. So like, I was kind of banking on this. I was like, okay, well, I left on good terms my job, but like, I really want to give it a shot. So that went on for about a year or so. And then he got like burnt out because he had been doing it for like 5 years or so, and he just like I don't know what happened to him. He had like a mental breakdown or something. He's been a little better now, but you know, I kind of took over some of his clients, and then you know some of them had moved on because they were used to working with him, and I was always like the background guy. And so the clients I kind of got from him, and he just handed them off to me. I worked with them. You know, I tried to make good reputation, kind of built myself up from there. And then by the time I graduated, I had like a professional portfolio. So I moved to Indianapolis, and I got a job working at a place called Main Gate, but they did like t-shirt designs for like legit companies. Like I ended up doing Kobe Bryant, his retirement clothing line he did when he retired. So that was in like 2016. But that was through the company. And then I also did stuff for Harley Davidson and some like Colts, Pacers, some NFL and NBA teams. You know, they had, like I said, they had some bigger clients. But then most of the time I was working there, a lot of times it was just slapping logos on shirts or umbrellas or stuff. And like I wasn't using my artistic ability a lot of times. It was just doing busy work, and it drove me nuts. Like because I could illustrate, and I'm like, why am I here? Like I feel like I'm not growing as an illustrator by being here. And the money wasn't even great. So I ended up leaving. I got a part-time job selling shoes at a place downtown when I was in Indy. And I was like, I'm going to just go back to freelance because I just need to branch out and like do more. But when I went back to freelance, I didn't want to go back to t-shirts because I wanted to do digital painting. I wanted to do like full color stuff. And I've been practicing that like on the side while I worked at Main Gate. So then I did some digital paint. I started doing conventions in like 2016. I think it's my first year doing conventions because I started doing some fan art of like, you know, Nintendo stuff, things like that. And I did conventions for about 4 years and doing fan art. And all this time I had a part-time job doing stuff. And then in 2021, I was kind of getting tired of like not getting noticed enough. So I'm like, I'm going to do the best piece I can possibly do. And I'm going to do like I'm gonna do a comic book character. I'm gonna get more into comics. So, because I had started working with Comics Elite at that point, just selling some fan art and doing sketch covers, but I didn't have any published work. So I was like, I'm gonna do the best thing I can, just try and sell it to them. So I did that Vampirella, the one that you know. I did the Vampire. I drew it in like a week. It took like no time. I busted it out. I don't know how I got it done that fast, but that was in 2021. And after I got it done, I showed the guys at Comics Elite, and they're like, "Oh my god, like this is awesome. We need to get this on a cover." They kind of dragged their feet on it, and then so I posted it online, and it got the attention of Zenoscope, and then Zenoscope reached out to me, and I've been a fan of Zenoscope for like 10 years at that point, and Zenoscope was like, "Hey, we want you on a cover." I'm like, "Oh my god, like, this is awesome! This is exactly what I wanted." So I told Comics Elite, I'm like, "Hey, Zenoscope wants to get me on a cover," and Comics Elite was like, "Okay, well, we need to jump on this because we want to be your first published cover." So then I did a Red Sonja for them, and the Red Sonja, I don't know if you know that one, but that one came out like a week before the Vampirella. So like those both came out within a week of each other, and that was in 2021. And then my Zenoscope cover came out that October, and then I did about a dozen Zenoscope covers over the next like couple years. And since then, it's grown. Like I've dealt with more publishers and independent publishers, and it's just kind of grown from there. And I mean, that's where I'm at. I just, building my relationships with more and more people as I go.
Mm-hmm. About how many covers do you think you're doing now a year? How many do you think you've finished for this year?
It's hard to say. I try and finish like at least one a month. Like maybe it's hard to say. Like sometimes I take a break and I do a bunch of sketch covers. Like right now, I need to bust out as many sketch covers as I can because I have a show with Clant McDonald next month, and then I also have GalaxyCon in a couple of weeks. So I want to be able to sell some there, but I'm also working on covers in the meantime. I have a 4-panel cover I'm doing. It's like a connecting set, but it's like 4 covers for an independent publisher that I'm working on. So I don't know when I'm going to get that done, but it's I would say, yeah, I would try and average at least one a month.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because I do see that you've done a lot of covers for like Zenoscope. IDW, was that on the list there too?
I haven't done IDW, no.
Okay. Dynamite for sure.
Yeah, I've done Dynamite.
I
All
do-
the
I do
Dynamite
know
stuff
that California,
has been through other
you did that
retailers.
a while back, a dynamic composition that you did on that. I think it was like a side profile shot you did over on the Red Sonja. She's
Was
kind
it
of
Red
going like,
Sonja?
yeah, she's kind of going
I
like
don't. So I
right?
don't have that. I sold out of that cover, so I don't have the comic anymore.
Yeah.
I think I have a graded copy that I saved for myself, but it's in my closet. But yeah, it was the one where like she has like swinging an axe behind
That's
her.
the one.
Yeah, and so that one, I always try and like do something dynamic in all my covers somehow, because I like to play with camera angles and you know, play with like the cropping of the person and whatever.
And that's what kind of like drew me to your art as well, because you do that, whereas a lot of guys, even some of the more popular guys, right, their stuff just isn't as dynamic enough. It's just straight pin up, and which I'm really kind of like tired and bored of.
Yeah, just like a straight on view. Like it works for a few times, but if you just keep doing it, I feel like you run out of poses. And so if you play with like the dimension of it, I feel like you can get a lot more variety.
Different camera angles, different perspectives. Yeah, it'll be more interesting and more challenging for you as well.
Right. And that's something I always challenge myself with, is like not only camera angles, but expressions too. Expressions are something that's a lot of fun to work with. Yeah,
because a lot of our art, and that's one of the things I complain about Mog, because everybody does these stoic faces. They're all the same. And then I'm going, this person is in a battle, in a fight. You know, they could be having like an angry face, not a stoic face. Like,
right.
Well, when I fight, I know I'm very expressive.
Yeah, I like to see the snarl.
Yeah.
My mouth is open.
Right.
Anyway.
So you can convey a lot of emotion just, with the expressions.
That's part of the storytelling. And a lot of people tend to miss that part.
So yeah, you mentioned storytelling. One of my favorite artists, or my favorite artist ever, is Frank Frazetta, and he tells a story with his paintings, whether that be with the background or the characters or like all of it together. And so that's something I try to put in my work somehow, whether that it's like there's a relationship between the viewer and the character that I always try and remember that's there.
And that's what I think is missing in a lot of the work that's coming out these days, because they're looking for something quick that they can do, and those are quicker and easier. They're more familiar with it, and
or just like they can recycle faces sometimes, and it can get boring.
Anyway, I think Stevie B, I wish you all the best. It says he was originally supposed to go to Florida for a wedding, but he's in emergency for a mystery ailment.
Oh no.
And he's watching this between his tests right now. He's in the hospital.
Who is this?
Stevie B.
Stevie B. Well,
he's one of the one of our great supporters that's on the show.
Yeah.
But he posted in the comments how he's in the ER emergency room right now. So
I wish you the best, Stevie.
Yeah.
We've been hooking up. We hooked up with him for the last 2 New York Comic Cons, and
that is a true fan right there. If he's watching in between tests at the ER, the guy goes on goes to a wedding, and he says he's not going to watch it, but yet he can't help it but pop he doesn't
in.
miss the show.
I don't know how, but it's like every time I hear from him, he's at some other wedding or this wedding, that wedding.
He's a popular guy.
I think he's a popular guy. That's like popular.
Is he a wedding crasher?
I don't know. It could be.
I think they just love this guy.
I know we love him.
But what was interesting is he was the one who introduced us for the first time something called a crustless sandwich.
Oh.
Do you guys know that? I don't know. It's like
you just cut off the crust.
You buy it in a freezer, like it's ready-made. These.
It's
Uncrustables.
Yeah, Uncrustables.
Yeah, I never had that in my life.
I feel like that's such an American thing.
It was so good.
Was it the PB&Js?
Yeah.
Peanut butter and jellies are. I think that's
P&J.
That's an American thing, right?
It tastes like exactly like P&J, and I was going, no way, man. There's no way, right? So I said I didn't want to eat it, right? But I was getting hungry during the show, right? Because those were long hours that New
Yeah.
York Con has. It doesn't end until 8.
It's really
Right.
long.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
So
I always bring my own
ended
lunch
up
to
eating one and
conventions.
go, wow, this tastes just like a fresh P&J.
Yeah, it was fresh. It was delicious.
That's so funny.
You know, but
I've never had one of those.
I haven't either.
Oh, really? But you guys know about it?
I know about them, but like
I've seen them, but
they don't look appetizing to me.
yeah, they don't. But wait till you try
Oh,
it.
wow.
Okay.
He said, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. If I don't make the wedding, hope the bride and groom enjoy copies of my CAT scan. Oh, dude, that's morbid.
Good luck with that, Stevie.
Yeah.
gotta love that
All
kind
right.
of sense of humor.
All right. So before we continue, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have on the auction.
Oh,
Because we're a little late on that, but it's okay.
I wasn't paying attention.
All right. So let me start with Mog.
What? I don't have anything.
She says she doesn't have anything. Okay. So let's
I
take a look at
do.
what Mog has. This is on about a 9x12. She's working on a pirate goblin queen.
Ooh.
Just
You
the
can
Jet
see
10
that.
line.
Okay. Notice the stoic face. And she's holding a battle sword. Okay. So she's working on that. We're looking for an opening bid of $200 on that. And then we have from Tristan. He is working on a.
So yeah, I have a Mary Jane I'm working on. I just have the pencils right now, but
Right.
there we go.
There you go. Oh, beautiful face, beautiful eyes.
And then I'm doing the
see that?
yeah, I'm working on
Oh.
inks right now.
On a sketch cover.
Yeah, on a sketch cover.
Yeah, sketch cover.
And your opening bid on that is 200, correct?
Yeah, it'll be full color at the end.
Oh,
Okay, ooh,
color.
there you
Wow.
go. Okay, he's going for full color, guys.
I'm gonna get as far as I don't know if I can
get.
get full color tonight, but like I'll at least get it inked and started on color.
There you go.
At least
Okay,
how
there
it's
you
gonna
go.
look.
Right. So you're getting $200 is really cheap for a full cover on a sketch cover, right?
Hey, I'm hungry. I'm trying to move my product.
I hear you on that. Okay. And all right, so let's go back to Alin here. So you're at Marvel, and how long were you there?
Yeah.
This was a long time ago. I wasn't there very long. I was there like on staff and some freelance stuff combined, maybe a couple of years, 2-3 years.
Okay.
Um,
Can I ask why did you leave? Because a lot of people they're trying so hard to get into like Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, that kind of thing. Was that your choice?
yeah. I was going through a lot of rough stuff in my life, my personal life.
Okay.
I got married really, really young, like way too young to get married. And I was dealing with that. And I had a lot of kind of personal things just kind of go flip flop on me.
Mhm.
And it was just taking too much out of me. And I was kind of on my own. I'd made friends with everybody there that I was working with. And I loved all the people there, but I didn't really have any family or anything there. And things were just kind of going sideways. And I was like, I just need to go back home.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
interesting, like because you were in New York, which is like the most populated city in the U.S., and it's like you have all these people, but it's like you're still lonely because you didn't have family.
Yeah, and there was just a lot going on for me personally, and some of it I wouldn't even really know or understand until years later. I didn't know some of the things that I turned out to find out later, that I had severe ADHD, anxiety, PTSD. So I had a lot of stuff, and it's kind of had set a pattern in my life before and after Marvel for a long time. I didn't know about it until years later, but that was affecting me, and I was dealing with this personal life stuff. And I was like, man, I loved Marvel, but I got in there, and there was, I was young, I was young, and it was my first time kind of like really, I had gone straight from like my parents both died a few months apart right after I got out of high school.
Oh, wow.
And like, it was like shortly after that. And then I got married right after that. So I kind of went straight, kind of like from home to being
Adult.
married.
Yeah,
And
that was quick. All right.
yeah, and then I
That
moved
was
to New
really
York.
quick.
My marriage was rough and rocky, and I was really young. And I moved to New York, and it was rough and rocky. And it was my first time kind of out on my own, and
Yeah.
I just did all the things that you think you might do during college, But I'm like living on my own and trying to like support myself and pay for rent and everything. And I'm living like a college kid for the first time, kind of going a little wild. So that wasn't really helping me either. And I just, it just got to be too much. And I had kind of a situation with my, my marriage, which was failing. And, I just,
Yeah,
I
so-
kind of wanted to
and
put it out.
that happens, life gets in the way. I can totally relate with
Yeah.
you on that.
Yeah.
I kind of went through something very similar as that now, but both my parents didn't pass away during that time, but it was enough that it caused like everything in my life to just stop. And then you're trying to figure out what are you going to do from there. You're trying to pull yourself up and you don't know how or how you're going to get out.
So you
But
flail.
somehow you managed to get through it all.
You
And
flail.
apparently you did because you moved on.
Eventually,
And you were
it
able
took a
to
lot.
work on some very big projects like Braveheart and Titanic.
Yeah, I worked at
Tell us about that
Paramount.
phase in your life.
Well, when I came back from New York, I got, I tried to make we wound up getting divorced, but then trying to live together. But it wasn't, it only went on for about a year. But during that time, we made my daughter, who's wonderful. She works on one of my comics with me actually. And she's now pregnant, having her own baby. Yeah, so it wasn't working out. But in the meantime, I got back. I came back from New York. I kind of like I was a little aimless for about a year or so, and then I landed a job at a movie studio called Full Moon, which was doing these like kind of like little horror movies, like Puppet Master.
Yeah. I actually know that studio. Okay.
People, yeah, you probably do. I worked for them for a little while, but they were working with Paramount, and I got to know the people at Paramount, and there was kind of a click in there where I was able to jump from Full Moon to Paramount, and I did. So I went to work for Paramount Pictures. So there I am, just a couple of years removed from Marvel Comics, and I'm in Hollywood, and I'm like in Paramount on the lot, walking around the lot, working on Star Trek and movies and stuff, and in home entertainment, and it was pretty crazy. It was pretty surreal, and I did that for a few years, and I kind of wanted to move, and I didn't feel like I could move up anymore there at Paramount. I kind of like felt like I was hitting a ceiling, so I left there and I went someplace and promptly crashed and burned. So that went on for I went at Paramount for a few years, and then I had another crash and burn. Went through a couple more years of weird. Was working for an agency, like an ad agency for Hollywood movie studios, and I was actually working with some of my former coworkers. I was working with Paramount a little bit and working with some of my other coworkers at other studios like Sony, and I worked with Fox and some of the cable channels at the time. Yeah. So I did a lot of different little projects and things, and then 911 happened, and after 911, like actually right before 911, I had lost my job. That year, I had said I'll probably wind up losing my job. I just knew it, and everything was kind of tanking. And then 911 happened, and it was like, phew. And then it was just like, wow, okay, now what happens to me? And I had kind of like a little spin out, kind of got myself going, and somebody gave me a thing and said, they're looking for someone who can write for Hot Wheels at Mattel. And I'm like, oh, Hot Wheels. I grew up in the shadow of Mattel, loving this, thinking someday I wanted to work for Hot Wheels. I wanted to work for Mattel someday, Mm-hmm. So I wound up, sending them some samples, and I went in and they played, they had me, the writing group for the web, for their web stuff, had me play a game of Balderdash, which is the game
Yeah.
where you kind of like get these really obscure words and you have to make up a meaning and everybody has to try to guess it.
Right.
So I'm playing with these people who are professional writers, and that was like part of my interview, and I beat them. I won the game.
Wow.
So I always say I won my job at Mattel in a game of Balderdash, in a word game. And then I went to work writing for Hot Wheels, and I wrote for them. Did work for Hot Wheels for about 20 years. Like 20
Wow.
years. Working on Hot Wheels. Boy, did I know Hot Wheels. I like Hot Wheels. And then just in the last couple of years, they've Mattel started kind of going into it like, we're going to embrace AI. And it was like, okay. And, artists are worried about AI putting them out of work. And it's like, well, let me tell you something. Copywriters went first.
Yeah.
Because they laid off copywriters left and right. And I was one of them.
Of course.
They were the first ones that were easier to replace with AI. So,
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
yeah, because here's the thing: you're writing copy, and it's like everybody can put stuff into a Chat GPT and just get stuff back out now.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't really care what level of quality it is.
Mhm.
And it's like we could work our butts off and put really good quality and put interesting stuff, and research, and do neat things and stuff. And they didn't care. In the end, they didn't care. It's like what, if we could just get somebody to put the information in some place and get it right, they don't. That's it. It's all they care about.
Yeah.
So that was that, and I'm like, all right, well, let me go back and see if I can do some more work with my. I always wanted to do some stories and comics that I didn't do, so I've been doing those. I had already been doing those a little bit, but I kind of doubled down on that. I've been doing some of that stuff now. In the meantime, I had written a novel, which is pretty good, but I'm due for the sequel to that. Overdue for that, like George R.R. Martin late kind of thing. So
is that the Twilight Order?
Well, no, the Twilight Order is a comic that would be the sequel to the Infinite Souls story that I got on Kickstarter right now.
Clans of Gudania?
The Lost Clans of Lydania, yeah.
That's the one?
That's the one. And the Lost Weaponsmiths of Lydania is the one that I'm like over halfway through, that should have come out like 5 years ago, maybe. And I actually have the third book ready to start on as well. So that's a whole series that'll be out eventually.
The third book is that Tangled Woods? Tangled
Worlds is a book of short stories, Twilight Zone style.
Okay.
That's a different thing. That's just some short stories that I did. So I've always been fascinated with things like the Twilight Zone and ghost stories and things. Mm-hmm. So anything that's kind of weird or twisted, that's the kind of thing that I'm going to go into, which is, of course, what Infinite Souls is and Twilight Order is that kind of stuff, but with superheroes, kind of superhero type of characters. But that's my kind of thing. I've even done some amateur ghost hunting. So.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've done some. I've haunted some haunted hotels. Chased around, had some very interesting experiences there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
any,
fun stuff.
Have you had a supernatural experience
In the ghost hotel?
Here's the thing. I've had experiences, but I would never. I'm what you'd call an open-minded skeptic. I don't know what I would classify it. Whatever I've had happen, whatever I've experienced or seen, I don't know what I would classify it. I'm not saying that I think it's supernatural. Part of me thinks that there are still some environmental things that we don't know about, and we don't scientifically understand yet. What's the saying that, like any, Arthur C. Clarke said, anything that's, scientifically more advanced than we know is essentially the equivalent of magic or something.
Yeah.
It's like that's to me. I think supernatural stuff might be something like that. It's just something we can't explain.
I'd like to propose a theory that maybe you can tell me if it would make sense. But I believe that like spiritual encounters where people see ghosts or encounter things like that is the same kind of thing. Like when you're when you have like a static radio station and you start picking up other stations like in that static. I have a theory that like something about our reality or whatever it is, like you can pick up almost like your brain is being like you're picking up like I don't know, so electromagnetism in the air can affect like your brain, like a scientific explanation. And I think
our brains are
seeing, yeah, it's like what you're seeing isn't real, but it's like your mind is almost being like short wired or whatever. And like you're seeing an image, and I think there's certain areas that are like geographic areas that have stronger electromagnetism, and I think it messes with people's brains. And I think what you're seeing is like an apparition that like isn't really there, but like your brain is seeing it because it's being like short-circuited in a way.
And you might be picking up on something that's atmospheric that we don't know how to read yet. That is one of the theories that's out there, is that definitely that you're picking up on kind of like an environmental recording, if you will. Yeah. That, you know, like it just happened to like be able to tap into the frequency. That is. I
do believe that it could be scientifically explained eventually.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I haven't seen anything that I would definitely say is necessarily that. I mean, I've definitely seen a couple of things that I'm like, I can't explain that at all. Mm-hmm. That is definitely weird. Maybe that was what it was. I don't know. But I've had experiences where there's like, and this isn't just visions. This is stuff moving. This is sounds. This is smells. This is other phenomenon with your senses. And you got to go, well, okay, so now what, if it is a recording, like some kind of environmental recording, that's a pretty 3D recording, you know?
Right. Yeah, I guess my theory doesn't explain things moving. So I don't know.
That. But that's what, you know, magnetism might, you know. So there's definitely a lot of possibilities, I think.
Yeah, I do agree that some of this stuff can be explained scientifically, and if not now, later on.
Yeah.
But
that's my theory is that, you know.
When this thing is trying to kill you or hurt you.
I've never had anything like that, but
you know, ballgame there.
I've seen The Conjuring. I love it, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that stuff.
Yeah.
Again, even if it's supernatural, I think it's still something that science is going to be able to explain. And then it's like, well, it's just natural that we don't know yet. You know, it's still science, it's just beyond our reach, whatever it is. You know, but that's kind of
natural that this thing wants to kill us.
But it's really fun. It's really fun to go and try to find these things and go to these places. Because I will tell you this, and this is going to sound weird, but I have walked into a house that I've never been in before, and instantly I just said, without even really realizing what was happening, I walked into a house one time, and it was my nephew is close to my age, and his girlfriend and a couple of friends had moved into a house. And it was like the back house on a property. And I walked in the door they were having a housewarming. I walked in the door and I'm like, okay, who died here? Oh. Like it was a party. And I'm like, who died here? And it was like one of those scenes in a movie where you're like, you know, like the record scratches and everybody stops and everything gets quiet. And I'm going, okay, right. What's going on here? And they're like, why would you say that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just a feeling. What's going on? And they all sat down, everything got quiet. And they sat down. And they said, we've been having these things happening where the cabinets will open by themselves. And I'm like, I had no idea. I'd never been in this house or anything at all. I had not heard a thing about it. And so they're telling me all this stuff. And I'm going, okay. And then they said, but you know, what's weird is we got this place. And they had just moved in. They got it because the owner who lived up front, his son had been living there and he was killed in a car accident. And so it became available. And that's how they got it. So this guy that was living there was killed in a violent car accident.
But he didn't die in the house. He died in the.
No, he didn't die in the house, but he'd been living in the house when the death happened.
Yeah.
So I'm just going, I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. It's like, how did I, you know, like, how is it that there have been times when I've had this sense of things, you know? So I like to go out and try to see if I can test that and see what that is. If I can figure out like what I can pick up things sometimes at places. I'm like, this is definitely off, or this isn't off. There's been places that people are like, oh, this is so haunted, blah, blah, and I go and I'm going, I don't think so.
I know what you're talking about because I've had like similar experiences. I had my own, a few of my own supernatural encounters, if you will. But one that I had that
from Hawaii, I bet.
Hawaii has a lot. Boy,
yeah.
Hawaii has a lot. But anyway,
interesting.
So the home that I lived in there, we were the original owners. And I had moved away, moved to California at this point, and I would go home every so often to visit. My youngest brother was still living there, and he was living in the back of the house, right? So on this one trip, I came home, and I'm just hanging around the house. I decided to go into his room, And I've been in that room many, many, many times. Okay. But stepping into there, man, it's like my spider sense was going off like crazy. Something is wrong here. Right. And so I'm looking around and I'm trying to figure out, like, why am I getting this feeling like there's something here that's just not right. Right. So when my brother came home, I told him about it. And he goes, yeah, I don't know what it is, but I've been seeing this guy in my dream and he's constantly like attacking me. And I said, when did this start? And, he told me like whatever it was. And then I asked him, okay, do you have anything that's new in your room? And he goes, well, I got this present from his girlfriend's uncle. And it looked like a stone figure, a female, a very fat female with very big boobs, right? And
Do you know, like, is it like the Venus of Willendorf? Do you know what that is?
I don't know, but I've seen this somewhere. Okay.
I think it's the Venus of. Is it brown and it's like very round looking?
Very round.
Could be like a copy of that.
Gray colored,
Okay.
made out of stone.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm getting this vibe from it. I don't think this is good. So I told my brother, I think you should get rid of this or like give it back because I'm not getting a good feeling with this. And he goes, okay, let me try that and see if this stuff will go away. So he gives it back, right? And after that, he doesn't see this old guy coming in to attack him anymore, and the room feels better.
Interesting.
It's like back to normal.
I encountered some Santeria stuff at one point in time, and let me tell you, you don't mess with that stuff. There is some weird stuff out there. I don't know what that is, but I don't mess with that.
What's Santeria? I only know it from the Sublime song. I don't know what it actually is.
It's like black magic. It's like
okay.
I mean, it's typically involved with like Latin America. Black
is it
magic.
different from voodoo then?
It's I think it's related. Like I know, but I can't like remember all the details. But I think it's kind of related. Semi similar.
It's kind of related, but not.
But there's some weird stuff.
Yeah.
But you're from Hawaii. You must know about Menehune.
Yeah, but the Menehunes I'm not afraid of. So
It's more the Pele.
It's I've had like an encounter with Pele.
Oh wow!
We've had encounters with ghosts. The Menehunes, if you go back into like as far back as like the 1950s, on the census record of Kauai, on the island of Kauai, you will see on there that people list themselves as Menehune.
Oh wow!
So there is a record of them that they actually exist on a legit legal document there. So it's hard to like discredit that. But the encounters that I've had with the Menehunes have not been anything scary or frightening. In fact, the Hawaiians don't look at them as something to be really terrified about.
I heard there were more mischief makers.
Yeah, they're pranksters.
Well, there was an experience that I experienced. Actually, I didn't experience it so much as a girl that I was dating in high school. But there's a whole weird story. So it gets into kind of a long story, but basically I lived in a house and I had some weird experiences I couldn't explain. And then we moved out and the girl I was dating, her family happened to move in and she had my room. And then she had this experience with something that she said she woke up one night and the light, her bed was under the light, was coming in from the porch. And there was this short creature kind of bounding around. It was kind of heavy stomping, which is what I had heard when I was there in that room. I had heard this heavy stomping a couple of times. And said it was stomping around. It was trying to get at her, but it couldn't come into the light. She had this total like weird thing. And I'm like going, what is that? What could that have been if that was anything? I looked it up and I was like, maybe it was Menehune or something, but I'm like, I don't know. But it was weird. And of course, this is in Missouri. So I'm like, there's all kinds of weird stuff out there. But there was this whole thing. And I had gone over there on a Saturday morning and this had happened. And she took me in the room. She said, look, and something had thrown her nightstand up on her bed. She had a bruise on her back. And she couldn't have done this to herself. Like that's not something you can do. You can't pull a nightstand into your back hard enough to bruise it up on the bed, you know? And it was very strange. They were all freaked out, her and her mom and her brother. And there was one room in that house where the door would always close by itself and it was always cold. The rest of the house could be fine. That room stayed cold no matter what you did. And their dog would not go in that room. And I remember sitting in that house and smelling roses go by at one point, and there were no roses anywhere near that house. Like why? And it was very specifically a rose scent, like rose scented something. And there was something very weird about that house. And it was just so funny that I had moved out, and then this girlfriend of mine moved in and had even more experiences. So I'm convinced there was something weird about that house. But that was back right after high school for me.
Wow.
I'm actually curious because Tristan, you believe in like it could be an environmental thing that like we're receiving because we're basically walking antennas in some kind, and we're just receiving some kind of signal. So leading from that, would you consider kind of like listening to Alin's story? Maybe there could be certain areas where it's like a dimensional rift.
So I don't know about dimensions, but I do think that there are certain like geographic areas where have you ever heard of like ley lines? They're electromagnetic lines that just happen in the Earth's like magnetic field. And I think there's certain areas where those intersect. So there's like a stronger, I guess, just denser like feedback. And I think by our like being in those areas, I think it can do something to our brains, which also like feed off electrical signals. And I think that's why multiple people can say like, oh, we saw this thing in this room or in this house, is because we're all humans. So we all have the same kind of brain. And then we're all being affected by those electromagnetic lines that converge in those areas. That's just my own theory. Like, I mean, it makes sense to me. But like, there's just no technology to prove it yet.
Yeah.
Now they do say that ley lines can be very important and that they can actually create some kind of atmospheric thing.
Yeah, and like I think that's a perfectly reasonable explanation to like powerful. Seeing a ghost, but that it doesn't explain like things moving in the night or things getting thrown around. Like I don't know how to explain that, but I think seeing apparitions could definitely be explained by that.
I came up with a kind of I was just having fun with a theory one day, and I came up with a story. It's in my Tangled Worlds book, and it has to do with I'm really into the dream theory stuff. Like, what is dreaming exactly? What is happening with us when we're in dreams? And so I wrote this story, this really just like wild story, which is in this book of short stories, where when we're dreaming, we're actually kind of able to see into other realities. It's like it's a vision into a different reality that our minds are able to wander. They're untethered, so they wander over some realities. And I've always been fascinated with this stuff. And of course, now you have CERN in the last several years, which is a big part of one of my comics, is actually has to do with this kind of stuff. Is CERN has actually kind of come out and said that there may be other dimensions, other realities, and I'm like, scientifically now it's like, okay, so that's a real possibility.
That our dreams allow us to venture into those other dimensions.
It's wild.
There's a lot of times when I'm, I'm trying to put myself to sleep, right? Or when I'm about ready to get up. And then I get this vision. It's a very, very clear vision in color. I can see texture and everything. It's like so realistic. I feel like I'm peeping into someplace else, another dimension or somewhere else, but it feels so real. And then it's like when I try to focus on it, it disappears.
Oh yeah.
But it's like I'm in a certain state, and I'm able to see this. But then when I focus, I get out of that state, and then I don't see it. It's like it disappears on me.
I do get the recurring dream. the recurring dream. Like it's not always the exact same every time, but I've always had this dream. It's been a while since I've had it, but I always get this dream where I'm in this house, like giant house, all the lights are off, and I keep trying to go downstairs. Like I go downstairs down a flight of stairs. There's a new room, lights are off. Then you go through that room. Then there's another staircase, go down that one. It's like I'm always trying to go down, like I'm trying to reach the bottom, but like I never reach the bottom. And like you're always going down, but it's like the rooms open up and it's always empty, no one's in there, and the lights are always off. And I'm just always finding new staircases that go down. I don't know what it is, but like that was the recurring dream that I've had.
You know, Alin, that's interesting that you brought up Tristan about recurring dreams. So Alin, if you have you said you suffered from PTSD, right? Later on you discovered it was PTSD.
Yeah.
Does that come in as a recurring dream for you?
Well, it's funny that he mentioned that, the recurring dream. It's like I have a recurring dream since I was a child that I still get variations on, which it started out as a child. It was a haunted house. I can still see the pathway up to this house and the entrance and parts of it that I dreamt when I was a little kid.
And you still have the dream?
I still have a version of it, because here's what happened when I was one of the times I was kind of flopping around when I was near Hollywood. A cousin of mine owned what had been the mayoral mansion of Los Angeles at one point. And he lived in this thing, and he had all these extra rooms, and he said, why don't you come and stay with me? Because it was not far down the street in Paramount Pictures. So I'm like, okay. So when I moved into this big ass house, and this house had been used for different things. It had a dungeon. I mean, you think Hollywood, think of the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
And it was after that, but it was like it had a very storied past, and there were a lot of very strange things about this house, but it had like a secret passage. Like the room I got had a little passage at the back of a closet that you could go through, and it would lead into another room. That was like kind of a hidden room, but they were using it for storage because you could get in there another way. It was like there was just like a lot of weird things. And then ever since I lived there, the dreams of this haunted house, that's like, it's not always haunted, but I have these dreams of this house, and it's never the same dream twice. I mean, it's never the same house twice. It's like it always has these weird things, and it's like it's funny you were talking about the stairs going down. It's like sometimes there's like this thing that I can climb up, or there's these things stairs that I can go down, and it goes underground, and it like goes way deep down, and I can cross over and come up into other places. I had grown up next to a church when I was a kid. Before we moved to the Midwest, while I was still in LA, my parents, we lived next door to a church, and my father had become first the caretaker, and then I wound up being the caretaker at a very young age. I kind of took on this job at like stupid young. I had the job that was basically paying our rent, and he became like the assistant minister at this church, and I actually would go and clean street. There was this one cabinet in the church that if you opened the door, it had like a wooden ladder that went up into the attic of the above the sanctuary with like the big windows. It was this big empty attic, and I would crawl up there every once in a while, look around, and I would get freaked out because it was just this big empty space. And there was maybe some stuff up there, but it was very strange. It had,
but it was like a storage area.
It had a weird vibe. Yeah, it had a weird vibe. Yeah, but there wasn't a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah.
But it always freaked me out. So in these dreams that I have now, this house that I will have, it can change shape. It has different things on the outside, but it's always some variation that has a little bit of that old church and this house that my cousin had. And they've kind of like merged in this thing, but it's never really them. It's just kind of like, it has this kind of a feel that they had, this weird kind of like there are passages going places, kind of thing. And it's a big, strange, weird thing. Mm-hmm. And I still get those dreams. I still have those a lot, actually. But I also have a lot of other recurring weird dreams that are not so comfortable. I mean, not that those are comfortable, but I mean, they're even more uncomfortable. But
I'm wondering, like, back to the recurring dream for Tristan, is there a lot of fear involved in your?
Not really. It's more like curiosity. So I think kind of like what Alin was saying, like the area that I'm dreaming is always reminiscent of my grandma's house from when I was like really young, because there was always like this staircase they had in their entryway that went down to the basement, but they never used it because they had storage like in that entryway, like a mudroom kind of thing, and they never used it. They always went inside the house and then used the inside staircase to go down to the basement. They never used that one. And so as a kid, you go into the entryway, you're like, oh, I want to know what's down there, but like there's nothing. It was just like storage. It was like just old crap that they just stored in the basement. But like as a kid, you're always curious, like, where does that go? And I think that's one of the areas that always recurs in that dream. And then also the school I went to, like between kindergarten and 8th grade, there's a staircase that went down to the basement where the cafeteria was. And like we went in that staircase every single day to go down there to eat. And like that staircase also like populates in the dream. But there's always like areas that I've never seen before in my life, but in the dream. But like those two areas, I feel like they're always kind of coming up in some form or another. And it's just areas you're either used to or areas you've always thought about, like going down there as a kid.
You think maybe you're hungry and in your dream you're just looking for food?
I'm always hungry.
You're just looking for food in your dream. It's downstairs. I know it's downstairs.
I want that school cut pizza. It's those square cut pizzas, man.
Oh yeah. God. Oh yeah.
But what I love listening to, Alin, your story, I mean, your real life kind of semi-biography we're talking, there's always this theme where it's like when you go down and you're like, you hit rock bottom, it's like, oh man, this is it. Can't get any better. And then suddenly it just flips around, like you just wait a little in the next corner, you go even to a higher place than you were before, and then it goes down again. And then you're like, this can't be worse. It's like suddenly
I had a roller coaster
like, what the heck? And suddenly you just go to another place. It's just something feels like it's watching out for you. It's like, hey, dude. So every time things happen so bad, that's a sign that something great is about to happen.
Well, I mean, I've been in a slump now for a little while, so I'm like due for something great to happen again. If that's the case, I'm like, I'm ready again. It's been way too long now. I'm like, I've never been in this long of a slump. So let's hope that's true. You know?
I don't know. It's just your whole
life.
It
is weird. I've had a roller coaster life. I'm like, that would be one of the titles of my autobiography if I ever write it. Roller coaster life, or just I always like to just think distracted is a good name for my book.
I don't know, like
constantly distracted.
Because I think we all can kind of relate, except for you, Alin, maybe. When somebody calls us, hey, maybe there's an interview for New York, we're not gonna suddenly just abandon everything and just move without like a thought, you know. But you just go and do it.
I was in my early 20s, and you know.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, I probably would have done the same thing if I was like 21. It's like,
sure.
You know, I'm like, you have not a lot of ties where you're at because you haven't built, I mean, your parents there, I guess, but like, you just go. Like,
I had my wife,
so
I was married,
well
but that wasn't going too good, you know? And she said, yeah, go ahead, go check it out. She knew I had to do this. So
I kind of did the same thing when I moved from Hawaii to California. You know, that.
How old were you when you did that? When you moved?
Yeah, I was. I moved away from my parents' home and everything, from Hawaii to California, and it was a.
How old were you? He asked.
Oh, how old was I?
Yeah.
25.
Yeah. See, that's the age.
I moved there. Check this out. I moved there July 13, 1985. Easy date to remember because it was the 13th. You know. But I did have friends there already, you know, co-workers, because I was doing a job transfer. I was working as a programmer at that time for this international company in the IT department. So it was a transfer for me. So I had already I knew people there already. So that kind of helped me adjust a little bit easier. I had a crowd that I could hang out with, friends that I could be with. But it was still a little bit of a cultural shock. I actually moved into Hollywood first, right? So I wasn't too far from Paramount and the Scientology. You know?
On Sunset.
So that area, and you know what I'm talking about.
Silver Lake, right?
Is,
that's where my mansion was. Silver Lake.
That's going to be a shock.
Yeah, that's quite a thing
to move into. But no, I stayed there about a year before I moved to Culver City, closer to the where Sony Studios was at later on.
That's where I lived last. I lived in Culver City for a long time before I moved up here to Portland, where I am now. And the last place I lived was Culver City, right down the street from Sony.
Okay, yeah, that's a nice area
love
there.
Culver City, yeah.
Culver City had a lot of good stuff right there.
I love it.
But I did like it there. I had a nice place that I was staying in, pretty reasonable at the time. It was right across from where I worked too, so that made it really easy.
Oh, that's great.
Just walk instead of drive. Yeah. But
what part of the LA area are you in now?
I'm in we're in the Inland Empire.
Oh yeah, okay. So
we're was that east about half an hour east of LA downtown. Yeah. So
I've been to LA a few times. I have a half sister, and she grew up in El Segundo, and then which I've been to twice. And I love that area. I mean, I haven't really explored a lot of LA, but I have a cousin. Where did they live? I forget. I remember driving past Rosecrans though, and it was like not that farther past Rosecrans.
Yeah.
But it's all far from Mattel.
It's I remember my sister, I think she lives in Dallas, Fort Worth, because she got out of California. I'm not sure exactly why, but now she lives in I think a lot of people left California and went to Texas, I guess. But she was just one of those people. She left maybe about 8 years ago.
Recently?
Last time I went there was about 2012 or so. So it's been about 13 years. Me and a buddy, I was going to go with my girlfriend at the time. We were going to go visit my cousin, the one who lived past kind of near Rosecrans. Yeah. And I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. So then I was like, well, I asked my friend, do you want to go with me? Because I have this trip I planned and I want to go out there. So me and him just went out there. We went to Disneyland. We went to Venice Beach. And when we got out there, my cousin, we were staying together, and my cousin was like, "Oh, is that your partner?" I was like, "No, he's just a buddy of mine." It's like I just, my girlfriend broke up with me, so I want someone to go with. But we're doing all the date stuff activities, but we're just having a great time.
That was your partner.
Yeah, he's like, you thought it was my partner. He's like, no. He's like, well, he's just my buddy. He's just like my roommate.
It's just a casual thing.
Yeah, it's just a casual thing.
It's not serious.
But it's like we're getting ice cream at Venice, and we're going to Disneyland.
Yeah, we're just
friends. But that was the last time I was there, and it was. I had a blast. But then I visited my sister a couple times in El Segundo.
It's weird for me going back to Los Angeles. As I grew up there and I lived there most of my life, even though I've come and gone a few times, I had lived there for most of my life, and now I've been in Oregon in Portland for since 2009. How many years is that? 16 years?
Yeah.
Now I go back down to LA, and it's just it doesn't feel like home anymore. It's such a strange place to me now. I go down there, it just feels weird.
I do prefer LA over New York. Not that I don't like the people in New York, but it's too congested and too busy for me. Whereas LA just seems more spread out, and I don't know. I can drive in LA traffic. I can't drive in New York. I don't want to do that.
No, in New York you don't drive. You walk and you take the subway.
Yeah, exactly. But LA,
I gave up my car when I moved to New York. I didn't even keep it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I don't know. It's weird.
I have to go to New York. I don't think I'd want to be in New York. I think I'd rather go to other cities like Ithaca or something.
That's true. I was in Manhattan, and so that's just it's too much.
That is.
But
okay, so when I was there.
my wife and I, we went the first year we were dating. We went up to the Adirondacks, so we flew to Albany and then drove up to Lake Placid area and upstate New York, and that was beautiful. And then just this past year, it was our 10-year anniversary, so we're let's just go do that same trip again. Now we have more money, let's just go enjoy it. So we did that, and it was amazing. Ooh, it's looking good.
So let's show these art pieces as requested by who's that? Stevie B? No, Ilya. Okay, so take a look at that. Still looking for an opening bid of 200. This is Pirate Goblin Queen. And then Tristan is working on a Mary Jane sketch cover. Also looking for a bid of 200.
Wow.
Yeah. And he started the coloring on that.
Yep.
Okay.
The attitude.
Yeah. None of this is going to get finished by the end of the show, but at least you'll have a good idea where it's going.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Bid on these or lose out. They're going to be at the shows and be selling for a lot more.
Yeah, because if I'll bring it with me to GalaxyCon. If it doesn't sell there, then I've got to have these for Clan McDonald, and like they auction them, so like they'll go,
right,
for a lot more. But yeah, you guys are getting first dibs.
There you go. Okay, so you'll have a couple of chances. This is your first chance here to get that piece. $200 colored. That's really cheap to me.
That's really nice.
Okay.
Actually, like for Alin, like because you've done so many types of different writings because of what you did. For you personally, when it comes to comic script writing, what do you find that is distinguishes from the other script writing that you've done? That you like, pros and cons.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I will wrestle with, it's like, in a lot of ways, it is easier to write a comic than it is to write some other things, certain other things. I mean, I can write an article. It's not necessarily that difficult or hard. It takes some time, some research and all that. A comic book, it depends on what I'm doing. But with a comic book, you have to really figure out, you have to sit down in your mind and you have to really see what is going to be in the panel. It's like, even if you're not the one drawing it, you need to know what's going to fit on that page when you're telling that story. Like what can I see in a panel that tells the story and moves the story along? You have to literally visualize each panel and have an idea of how that's going to play out so that you get your story told visually as well as whatever script you put in later, and then you'll turn it over to an artist and let them handle that. But you have to have an idea of what is going to be in there so that you're not like leaving out important visual information. Or also, you need stimulating visual information in some way. You want to give your artist an opportunity to shine too. So you got to think about, you have to think a lot about the visuals and how you're going to frame that in your script.
Then what if there's many writers out there who wants to write for comics, but they're not naturally like a visual thinker? So they struggle a lot with that. Is it possible for them to just write it and then trust the artist because they're trained to be visual thinkers anyway?
I'm sure the artists love that. Yeah, I mean, it depends. If you want to do something like that and just hand it to an artist and let the artist take it, there are artists who can do that. For sure. Not all of them. Some of them could do that. Some of them could be like, okay, I don't know what you want here. I don't know what you want me to do. And you might not get back what you were expecting or hoping for, or you might, you don't know. This is the gamble, you're rolling the dice. But sometimes that can come back and be really cool. You just kind of, you just don't know. I like to kind of have it so that it's not so much work for the artist. Like if I give it to them, they don't have to sit there and go, what does he want here? I don't know what to do with this. I like to kind of like give them a pretty good idea of where he's trying to go, or where she's trying to go, so that they don't have to worry. They don't have to overthink stuff.
So as an artist, I'll say I do enjoy some direction, but because if you don't have enough direction, you do whatever, and then you show it to the editor, whoever, like, that's not really what I was thinking. It's like, well, I don't know what you're thinking because you didn't tell me any direction.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like you've got to have some direction, and I will tend to pretty much say, in panel 1, I need this to be happening, and a lot of people. Here's a very common rookie mistake that I see all the time. People will want me to edit their comics or give me a read on this, and I'll see this in the script and it'll be like, so and so, in panel 1, so and so, pulls out a cigarette, lights it, throws a dagger, and steps across the street. And you're like, this is like 4 panels, man. You can't do all this in 1 panel. It's like you have to understand that it's a series of still images that tell your story. And people just lose track of that. They think they're writing a cartoon or something. It's like, no, a comic book is a series of still images, sequential storytelling. And they don't get
visual.
You have to kind of go, no, stop and think about whether or not you can draw someone actually doing this thing turning to someone else and doing something else. How would you show that in one panel unless you had motion? You don't have motion in a comic book. You know, so you have to go, okay, if you need that, if the story needs that to happen, you need to do 3 panels, and that can be smaller panels, but you need to have the extra panels for that to happen. You know, so think about every motion is a single panel, you know.
That is a common mistake that a lot of
you see it a lot.
writers will make.
Yeah, I see it a lot. I'm like,
yeah, I see that a lot too. But so aside from make sure that each panel is going to have a single action kind of thing, do you have then other advice for people who are not visual thinkers, but is there a way to still write a decent comic script?
I mean, you've got to figure out, you know, pacing is a good thing to know. You know, you've got to have a good hook, a good end, catch your reader within a couple of pages. You know, comic book, a guy's going to pick it up. He's going to look at the first couple of pages. He's going to get to the splash page. If you haven't got him by then, you ain't going to get him. You know, and that's really, you know, it's so subjective. What that will be and what will work is so subjective. Different people, it's going to be a different thing. But that pacing is really important, because you don't want to wind up writing the whole thing and then you get, you know, start drawing it, an artist is working and they get to the last 3 pages and you're like, but there's still 8 pages of story here that needs to happen. That's like, so figure your pacing out. I do a pacing document. I actually open up, this is kind of an old fashioned weird thing. I open up what I call a pacing document. It's a spreadsheet, and I write down, okay, how many pages is this comic going to be? What's the story I'm trying to tell? And I'm like, okay, here's what needs to happen between page 1 and 3. And I'll put that in there. And then I'll do it, kind of break it down like that. And then within those pages, I'll break it down as I'm writing the script, going, okay, I know I need to hit this mark by this page, you know? So like, it kind of helps me kind of stay on track.
Wow.
Sometimes I overthink things and it holds me up and makes me slower. So it's a little bit longer, but I think for me, it winds up paying off in the end, because, you know, you've really kind of done this structured thing. And this is weird because I have such a weird brain, but I think it's what I need to make it work for me, you know? So I try to do, even if it's just a loose thing, you know, I'm not saying that it's like I engrave it in stone the minute I put it into this format, but it's kind of a loose roadmap so that I know.
No, I've actually heard that before from Chris Claremont.
Yeah.
When he was writing the X-Men, because he would have so many plots that he was working, subplots and his main plots. And in order to keep track of that, he would do that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That way he knew exactly where he was going with what, and what he could do to kind of prep for the next plot that's coming in, right? Because he was great at doing that, trying to tease you of what was to come, and yet still have his main plot going. And that's what made, I think, the X-Men series partially successful, because of that method.
I do a lot of that in my stuff too. You'll have there's little hints and things, and sometimes they're really subtle, and you won't necessarily know until later that was there. And
until you're there and you go back to it.
Yeah, The advantage of Marvel is they're putting a book out every month, and I'm not Marvel. I can't churn out a book every month. Right. So it's like, so you got to go back to a book that you might have read a year ago and go, okay, now what was happening here? Like, pull it out, reread it, and check. You know, as you go forward, then you'll know. You know, hopefully they won't be as far apart, but sometimes they are kind of far apart. So you can, but there's still stuff in there.
It is interesting writing when you see that kind of happening, even on a larger scale. Like Mog and I, we talk a lot about like Stephen King's books. How a lot of his books refer to like other stories that he's written or that he's done. And it becomes interesting. It kind of ties your universe.
I love a united universe. Yeah,
exactly.
I have that. My first superhero comic, the one that I've got started, is called Spies Among Us, which SPI stands for Superpowered Individual, and the plural of that is spies without the E. You know, but SPI like FBI, but spies among us, as where they've been living among us in secret. And it's a whole story about why that is. But what happens is that secret gets exposed, and they get exposed to the public. And in the exposure event, suddenly everything just changes. The whole world just kind of goes a little crazy. But tying into that, one of the characters that's going to wind up coming in another group of characters that are going to come into that story, I'm doing a book called Reality Rangers. And that's a lot of characters that are sort of based on my mashups and retakes of old public domain characters. And I wanted to use them, and I was like, this will be great because I need these people to come from someplace else. So this will feel like they're coming from someplace else. So in that, there is a character that's based on, do you know the public domain character? He's real popular, the Black Terror.
No.
He's the Black Terror. He's real popular. And then there is one called Nightmare, and I put them together, and I came up with a guy called Night Terror. And he is he's in my Infinite Souls books, and he is also in Reality Rangers, which means he's also part of the Spies Among Us universe. So basically, this one character is kind of like
everywhere in a way.
And there's other characters that are appearing, kind of crossing over into the other book, so that you kind of go, okay, these are definitely connected somehow. The trick is how, but there's a reason why they're connected.
Right. Yeah.
But I love that interconnectivity. That's so much fun to play with.
All right, let's take a look at the artwork so far. Well, we kind of showed it to you, but I never really took like a full break, so I just want to do it because it is almost 8:30.
Okay.
So we got about a half an hour to go. So let's take a look at Tristan. What do you have so far?
That's so fun.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Very nice. Very nice. Very pleasing to the eye.
Basically, I just I go as light as possible, and then I just slowly start getting darker and darker colors.
Right. Yeah. So you go from light to dark.
Yeah, and then so I always I do like some fine inking around it at the beginning, just to like kind of establish my lines, and then once I do that, at the very end, I go over and ink it like again, just because I want to thicken up certain lines, and also like as you're coloring it, I feel like as you go over those black lines, it kind of lightens them up, it kind of muddies them, so it's good to like do another pass of inking because then it like sharpens everything.
Yeah, that's kind of pretty much close to the very old school way, unlike how
I wish I could have learned like the old school way. I just kind of been doing trial and error, especially with Copics. I just work very cautiously, I guess this is how I do it. And like Mog, are you working in watercolor or
yeah.
Okay, I feel like that's the hardest medium to even work in. I did that a little bit in college. I'm like, I don't even want to mess with this anymore. It's too much.
I keep trying to get her to go to acrylics because I think that's easier, but
but like I don't know. I'm just so impressed by watercolor because I feel like that's the toughest way.
Oh yeah, so am I. I'm impressed with the watercolors out there where they make their stuff. When you look at it, it doesn't look like watercolor at all.
Mm-hmm. But you get some really cool effects with watercolor that I'm kind of jealous of.
Yeah.
The problem with traditional media, I don't know if it's a problem, it's a preferential thing, is you can't run away from texture. And if you're a digital artist, naturally you like that aesthetics and you want everything smooth and perfect. It's going to be very difficult doing traditional art unless you do like airbrushing a lot, I think. So yeah.
I think that's why I enjoy painting digitally, because you can get it like just perfectly smooth. And I think that's where that comes from, is like just wanting to get the like sharpest, crispest line, and then also like smooth everything out completely. But then I feel like finding texture on digital is harder to do.
Yes.
You have to like develop your own brush to be able to do it, because you lose it. But then you work on paper or whatever, and like texture is the one thing you're trying to avoid.
Yeah. So
that is true.
It really comes
I hear that all the time.
I think it really comes to subjectivity. So for the longest time, I was trying to make my traditional art look as smooth as possible, and then I just said, just don't fight it. You have to work with the flow. And then
what I've learned is people that buy art like to see some of the preliminaries like on there, like they like to see the erased lines because it shows like the process of it. It just makes it feel more authentic, I guess.
Yeah,
Totally.
they get to see partially, your thought process.
Right.
They want to see the what is it, like the human characteristic
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
there, right? All the flaws. It's kind of like when you're really listening to like those old time LPs, you can hear the cracks.
Oh, the cracks and the pops. Yeah, I like.
Yeah,
It's really like warm and fuzzy.
yeah.
It makes it.
Yeah,
makes it human.
it's not smooth,
Right.
like you hear on digital these days.
It's just it's part of the experience.
Yeah, but we want to hear that. It's kind of like watching a Tarantino films when he goes and he tries to film it in the old like 70s way. You see the black dots, you hear the crackle in there and stuff. The winding of the film.
Yes,
yeah.
It's all part of the experience.
Yeah,
part of the art.
Exactly, it's all part of the experience that kind of like makes it fun because you believe that you're there. It helps you believe that you are there, right?
But,
and I do see that in art. But yeah, people come up and they'll like at Boston, but Baltimore. Right?
Yeah, it was bizarre. It's bizarre you mentioned that, Tristan.
Yeah, because there's a guy that he bought a magic piece, and this was something that Mog was kind of just working on. So she had like 2 pages of like concept thumbnails and concept artwork with her notes and everything.
And also a preliminary rough draft and then the final draft.
Right. So all this stuff.
I wasn't showing it to anybody.
Yeah, he wanted to buy the artwork as is, and that was fine. And Mog was just sharing to him all these other pages of stuff that she did to get to that final.
Yeah.
And he wanted to buy the whole thing.
Oh no.
So he gave him a nice bundle price, made a nice bundle of money off of it. Pretty happy about it. But that's not the only time.
It's amazing
way more than
what people
that's
find.
just an example that
they find that valuable.
Want to see that.
Yeah, exactly, Tristan. Yeah, he said it's amazing what people find in value.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my sketch covers that they sell, like they auction off. I'm like, why are you guys spending that much money on these things? Like, this is ridiculous. But it's like, I mean, of course I like the support and, that people find it valuable because like, that's what keeps me being able to keep doing it. But at the same time, I'm like, man, why did you spend that much money on this? Like, that's not that big of a deal. But, people find it valuable and I really appreciate that.
Right.
Yeah. It's baffling, right? You're just baffled.
Yes.
That's great. Well, it's magic. I mean, I love watching artists work and stuff, and it's so cool when you have something in your head and you give it to someone who can do a really nice job of drawing it. It comes back and it just looks great. It's just magic. It's like that's like you just did magic, man. You don't realize it's like you don't have that skill. It's like I can write a novel and paint a picture with 1,000 words, but a picture. Is different. And it's like, it's cool. It's like sometimes you're working with an artist and it's like, well, you didn't quite get that right. And they're just like, okay. And they just start erasing and you're like, no, it's leave that one. Just do another one. You're like, no. It's gorgeous anyway. Just don't,
That is right.
But anyway, thank you, Rook Piece, for loving the magic piece. Thank you. Appreciate
and that's
it.
a different magic piece than from what we were just talking about. But anyway, that was a magic that was done in New York. Right. So, did we show? We looked at his. I didn't really show yours.
Yeah.
So this is where Mog is at with her pirate goblin queen.
Ooh. Oh, I see. I couldn't tell what the hat was, but now it's like a full hat. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
so cool.
I really like how you think, Tristan. You're very thoughtful in your composition. When we were looking at your overall, because you have a web page, and I saw your overall cover arts and whatnot. You always seem to, not all, but majority, you tend to put a background. You tend to try to make a story.
Yes, that's the Frank Frazetta, I think, coming out in me. The Frank Frazetta influence. So my wife, she mentions that a lot. She's like, you'd be able to get it done faster, or not telling me not to do it, but saying like the reason you take so much time because you spend so much time on the backgrounds. I'm like, well, yeah, but like I feel like that sets you apart from anyone who's just trying to like get covers out as fast as possible. Yes. I want to spend more time on the story of it, and like people can kind of just get lost in the cover. And plus, I like putting like little Easter eggs in there and like things that tell, explain things about the character or the book, not just about the character, but like in the background of the cover.
Yeah, it's do you do a lot of research?
Yeah. So depending on like the cover, so I'm looking at, because I have that Lady Death cover behind me.
Yeah.
And I think you put that on the little ad that you gave
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that background took me probably, I mean, the backgrounds take me longer than the characters sometimes. And that
course.
background took a lot because
Of course.
I was researching, it's supposed to take place like, where was it? It was supposed to be like a swimsuit issue. So I wanted to do a pool scene, and I think it was like a Malibu scene. So I started looking at like architecture in Malibu. So I wanted to be able to create like an outdoor pool setting. But another thing I do besides just like researching environments is I'll make a playlist of, maybe like an hour long on my YouTube music channel. And then I can go back to that and listen to it. Maybe like every day that I work on, I'll listen to that playlist at least once, because it gets me like in that mood. And it's music that usually fits the vibe of what I'm working on. So, and, it spans like all genres. Like I'll have one that's like a classical playlist, or like that one was a lot of like synthwavy style stuff, but then I had like other ones that are just like straight metal. But it depends on what I'm working on. I'll make a music playlist that kind of goes with those covers.
Yeah.
And I usually save those playlists. I don't know, I wish there was a way I could like share the music I'm listening to with the cover. Like say if you buy the cover, here's a link to the playlist I used, like that I was listening to while I made it.
I thought of that.
Spotify. I did that for.
I thought doing that.
I did that for Infinite Souls because I did a whole Halloween playlist on Spotify.
Yeah,
it
works.
The same thing. So I put this whole link up to a Spotify playlist of these Halloween, the specific Halloween songs and themes and stuff that are like, here, this goes with.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, it definitely, and like I said, I would listen to it at least once a day as I worked on it. I'd always revisit it.
Wow. But Alin, like you did that too, kind of, right? But I saw this, I was reading, because I'm Korean, so I'm actually able to read Korean and do the webtoon. And you know what they do, those guys? They actually have each chapter, they are starting to do this where the music plays for the chapters. They just scroll down.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
And they hire specifically musicians to make a song for that. And it's like, so cool, like
that is cool.
I had this idea. I wanted to start to talk to this guy. There's this guy that I met through some gaming who does work in Hollywood on some shows themes. He does show themes, but he's like kind of like he does some like backup music and stuff. And I was like, and I was watching Spotify one day, and something came up on a song, and it was like a visual of a character that looked like a superhero drawing. And I in my head did this click, and I'm going, oh no.
Why?
There's a thing to be done here. Somebody, and I'm throwing my $1 million, somebody could totally do a comic book on Spotify.
Huh? How?
You could just do a series of pieces of music and a series of images, and they on Spotify pop up an image with the songs. So you'd put this album on, and as it's playing, it's going to pop up this image, and you're going to follow it through with the music playing.
Yeah.
And you can read it on Spotify.
So I saw a band, me and a buddy, we went to go see this band play downtown. It was like 5-6 years ago, but they're called Magic Sword, and their album, you buy the vinyl, like the LP, and inside is a comic book, and the comic book I think is 10 pages, but every page matches, like the track is track by track with the comic book. So track 1, you're on page 1, and then track 2, you're on page 2, and then you're supposed to read the comic as you listen to the album. But I thought that was a really cool way to kind of cross mediums with your art.
we're at a point where we can almost do our own stuff, you know. With the right team of people, you can do essentially a cartoon. I mean, almost. It's practically a cartoon. You can do that, you know, with music and images, and you can put it all together and play it in a place. I mean, it's all there. It's just I haven't really seen anybody do exactly what I'm thinking. But I mean, it wouldn't take much for someone.
Definitely possible. Yeah.
No, yeah, it would be totally easy to do if you had all the right people doing the right things and working together on it, or just one really crazy talented person who can do everything.
That's the way I want to do it. It's like it takes me forever, but like I know how it wants to be done. And, like I just want to do it my way. So like I don't want to work with anyone else because I just want to do it how I want to do it.
I don't mind. I like a little collaboration because sometimes it gives you some play. You have to have the right collaborators, though. You know.
Yeah.
It's like it's got to be a thing that works together.
I'm Team Alin here. I don't mind collaborators.
I mean, I think it's because Souls. I'm working with 10 different guys, you know, and that's just the other creators of characters. That's not even talking about the artists, you know, the artist, the colors, everybody. It's like so. I'm working with a big team of people on that book. It's a major collaboration because as I'm putting all these different guys' characters in there, I'm going. I've got to know their character and how they're going to react in this situation, what they're capable of doing, and how they're going to react to this character from this other guy, and how they're going to work together or not and relate. And it's like, so I'm kind of like handling all of this stuff, and I'm talking to them, and I'm coming back, and I'm going, this stuff from these characters' backgrounds kind of builds this kind of a story, and I'm throwing that in, and it's like it's a lot of like, my weird brain loves that because it's like. It gets a chance to just jump all over the place, which it kind of does on its own anyway. So I'm like, it kind of works out all right.
I think it stems from me being an only child, and so like I just want things my way. Like, you know, when people come to me and they want a cover, like obviously, yeah, I'm working. This is your character that you did. Like I have no problem. But when it's like my stuff, like my project, like before I was published, I wrote it was an illustrated novel, so I was doing the images for it as I did it, but like I didn't want anyone else to touch it. So I asked one artist friend of mine to do a variant cover for it, but like that was it. Like everything else, like I wrote it, I drew it, I published it, like I did everything because I just wanted it done my way. It took me like I guess like two years to put out a few chapters, but like I just like this is my thing. I don't want anyone else to have a part in it because I enjoyed the writing process. Like I never consider myself a writer, but I knew that I wanted to tell the story, so I just jumped in and with how Alin, how you were mentioning how you said what'd you call like the sheet you put out that kind of outlines what needs to happen on a certain page. Yeah, I did the same thing as I like built the story up. I would like make this is going to happen in this chapter, and so I need to just like. You know, not just build fluff, but, you know, build substance that happens around that event. Like, what are the little events that lead up to that event that happens in that chapter? And I found it really rewarding. I really enjoyed writing. I haven't done it since, but it was always, it was a lot of like, it was very satisfying to be able to write.
You know, that's interesting you said that. Yeah. That's interesting you said that, Tristan, because based on what you were talking, I was actually going to say, I think you'll be a pretty good writer. The way you think and the way you composite things.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed it. But just, it was always considered like a background project for me. So I never spent all my time doing that because I always told myself like I would go back to it if I didn't have any cover work going. And it's like, even if I have slow cover time, like I'm always filling it with like, okay, I'll do some sketch covers. I've never jumped back into it, and I feel like I definitely could, but I get so caught up like just drawing all the time. Or sometimes I don't even want to do anything creative. Like I just want to go clean my house or something. Like if I have downtime, I just do chores. You know, I don't want to step away from the creative side for a bit. You know, instead of trying to force something out.
Yeah. Like
so, Alin, you've got that Kickstarter, that Infinite Souls that's running right now.
Yes.
With 13 days, it's almost fully funded.
Yeah,
tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, okay. Well,
we do have the link in the comments, guys, so you guys can check that out. Go ahead.
Yeah, Infinite Souls. What happened was when I started doing my own comics, and I started kind of finding the indie community on Facebook and stuff, and people are always showing their characters. I started seeing all these characters, and I had just come up with an idea for like a character with like I had been at Target and they had some of their stuff out for Halloween, and they had this like plastic black pumpkin, and I thought that looked really cool. And I thought, oh, how cool would that be if it was a jack-o'-lantern but it was black? So then it would be a black-o'-lantern. and like from there, a character just sprung to life in my head and wouldn't leave me alone. So I had to have this guy created. So I did this. I set this up and I got him drawn up, and I'm like, now I got this black-o'-lantern character. And then I started noticing all of these other creators who had pumpkin head characters, and it was like coming up on Halloween, and I'm like going, so I started talking, I'm like, what if we did a book where we took all of our like Halloween pumpkin head kind of characters and threw them in one book and did a story with these guys? And they were like, oh yeah, that'd be really fun, that's cool. So like, I mean, just get some other Halloween themed guys in there, and we, you know, a bunch of guys wanted to jump in, and the next thing I knew, we had a whole bunch of characters and a whole story, and it was just a lot of fun. And it's just a crazy, fascinating, really brilliant characters. These guys are such interesting character creators and story creators that I'm working with. And so it was kind of a joy to get to play with their characters and the story together. And so we did the first book, and I had met a guy in Ireland. I'd been over there, one of the trips over there when my cousin was living in Dublin, and I met a couple of guys over there. One of them is one of the guys who's got a character in the book, and one of them is a kid who was started to draw it for us the first book, but he couldn't stick with it. He had to drop out, so we had to get somebody else to finish the first book. But it just came out really fun, and people loved it. And so we finished that, and we're like, well, let's do the second part of the story and come to the end of the story. And we were like, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, there's a couple of the guys that had approached me and said, I'd love to get in on something like this with you, And I'm like, well, let me think about this, because there's some guys here that we're already working with, and we've kind of got the story with these characters that could be really fun. It's like people kind of seem to really dig the idea of this supernatural superhero team that deals with kind of like very weird, like out there kind of supernatural stuff. And I'm like going, let's do something with that. Let's do these guys. Let's go forward with that. And so, brought in a couple other guys for the second issue of Infinite Souls, and a couple more guys that are coming in, and they're all, regular big indie guys. And so now we've got this team, and we started showing that when you talked about the Twilight Order. I had an artist who's worked on my Spies Among Us for me, Sid Tellis. I'm like, I want to do this thing. And I was like, I want to do these characters, but let's do this thing where like I thought about that picture from the Watchmen where they're taking the snapshot of the old team, and I'm like, let's do something with that with them. But the photographer has this little demon tail, So there's this twist on it, but there's still these weird characters, So it's kind of the same thing. So we did a riff on that and did this image. It's the Twilight Order. So that's going to spin out from this series. There'll be a regular team of these guys, and it'll be interesting to see them playing together and the things they're going to take on. But this book is the conclusion to the story that began in the first Infinite Souls, and it's going to have some very interesting detours, rather unexpected detours, and it's still going to have kind of the same fun. First book was really fast paced. It was kind of a race, like a scavenger hunt kind of thing. The second book is going to be just kind of like your sometimes I lose words. The tension is ratcheted up, and it's like now you really have to overcome the obstacles, and it's like, well, now you're going to have to get creative, because you're going to your normal stuff isn't going to work. So what can you do? And it's like, well, it turns out these guys have a lot of possibilities, so it's going to get fun, and and so we're just having fun with these guys. And
it does sound like a lot of fun. So I do want to encourage everybody, at least check that Kickstarter out, share it, like it. help get that populated so that way it does get fully funded. And
And
I'm pretty sure it will get funded the way.
We've got some great artists who are offering to do commissions for it. This different levels of experience, but they're guys that are all, people love it when they see their stuff, and it's like they're doing commissions. It's much cheaper than you would pay at a show. You can get your character, a character you want, whatever. Mm-hmm. They're on board to do that. There's a set of trading cards, and you can even get your character on a trading card in our set. It's really a beautiful set of trading cards.
There you go. And that is a great way, because we'll make an offer to the indie publishers too that are on Kickstarter, and where we offer Mog's service to do an original piece, a sketch cover, whatever, a remark. And it's mainly to help get that funded, but also it is a great way to promote the artists and connect with the audience and allow them to get pieces at a more reasonable rate than what you would normally get from a show like this or at the cons, right? So we try not to make it all about money. Money is good, but we want to be able to make it fun and enjoyable and accessible to everyone.
Hard line.
So we've got like a few more minutes here. Quickly, Alin, can you tell us how people can get to the books that you have available?
Well, right now, if you go to Kickstarter Infinite Souls, that one has the that is both. Yeah, it's in the private chat for the campaign, right at the top. That's in there. In that campaign, you can actually get both Infinite Souls 1 and 2. You can get the variant covers for them. You can also get, there's add-ons for all of the books from or a lot of the books from all the creators who have books out with their characters. There's a lot of add-on books in there, and I put mine in there. I have a steampunk book. It's a steampunk kind of steampunk mutants and magic kind of book. And that's how
we had some questions about that book too, but oh man, okay.
Yeah, Sky Guy, right? That book is hopping. And of course, then there's Spies Among Us, which I've done also. I've also done a handbook that goes with that, but there's going to have to be more handbooks for that because there's a lot of characters. It's kind of an epic thing that turned into like a massive story. I didn't realize what I was doing when I started that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a big story. But it's fun. I love doing that.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so
how about you, Tristan? How can the viewers get to your books and your artwork?
I would say my website is always the best way to do anything because that's where you can purchase books directly from me. And you give an option that you can have it signed. Some people don't want it signed. I don't charge signatures if you buy it from me on my website. But there's that. And then I believe the book that I was talking about earlier, the one that I wrote 6 years ago, I think you can read chapter 1 on my website, which I don't know. I need to like revamp that because I haven't been able to revamp my website in a few years. People usually say like, oh, your website looks great, but like I haven't had time to update like the actual look of it. But I do add products. Like as soon as I get a new cover published, I will add it to my website, and so the products and everything should all be up to date. But that's usually the best way to get things directly from me. But if you're like curious about commissions or anything like that, you can contact me through my website, through Instagram, through Facebook. I respond pretty much to anything. So you can reach me however, any one of those avenues, and or see me at a show. Do whatever you want to do.
There you go. We have both websites listed now on the India comments. So go ahead and check that out. I do want to thank you guys for joining us. You guys were very entertaining.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely would love to have you guys back. Now,
yeah,
next
great.
week,
That's great. Huh?
Next week is Thanksgiving, so we will not be here, but we will be at the Fan Expo San Francisco that weekend. It's a smaller show, but it does pack a lot because they will have Comic Explosion Saturday night after dark at 8 p.m. where you can watch 2 rounds of artists paint for 1 hour. Then the stuff is like auction off. It's one of the best events I've seen in the con circuit. Also, we will have 2 SketchUp panels Friday and Saturday. So if you're going to be there, check out the programming to get the room and the show times. And stop by Mog's table in Artist Alley, P64. She'll be bringing out a lot of artwork that has never been seen before. Now, I know you all got your start for your Christmas. You've got to start your Christmas shopping soon. But keep some of that for yourself because after Thanksgiving, we will have 2 holiday art jam sessions. That'll be December 4th and December 18th. And I'm trying to bring back artists that we haven't seen in a while so we can get caught up on them. And a few that has never been on the show before. So watch for that. And as I firm up the guest list for that, you'll see the graphic arts for that to see who will be on those shows. So, but I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And let's see, Ricky says Black Friday Geisha. Okay. That might be a thing. We'll see.
Geisha theme.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, we do, as Kyle says, we will have other programming here next Thursday. And so you can now watch for that. But the best way, hit that follow button so that way you can get all the updates and help us to increase our fellowship as well. Alin,
Yes.
Tristan, great having you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's great being here.
You guys want to feel like you want to come back, hit me up, let me
Yeah.
know.
Of course.
We'll definitely try to get you on, especially if you got like something special going on as well.
Yeah.
Definitely would love to help you promote whatever
Anything.
projects you're working on.
Thank you. That's
And
great.
hopefully we get to see you guys at the show. Alin, question for you. Are you going to be at the Fan Expo Portland in January?
You know, I didn't know about it until recently.
Okay.
I might go, but I probably won't be like tabling.
Okay.
But I
Stop
can imagine
by.
I'll be there.
We will be there.
Oh, well, I'd
In
love to
Orange
see you.
County.
Yeah,
So along with some other people, we're going to introduce you to as well.
that'd be great.
Again, guys, thanks for coming on. Love having you guys.
Thank you.
Definitely have you guys back. Good night, everybody. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We will see you in 2 weeks for the holiday art jam. All right. Take care, guys.
Good night.